What's scarier than COVID-19 on Halloween? Finding out what's going on behind the scene. Go to Book of Hours on YouTube and take a look at some of our video essays. I would start with Quarantyranny, and then continue with maybe The Great Reset. Maybe go and watch Lifelong Learning, and then maybe Deconstruction. We wrote the script for Deconstruction with the idea that it would help people to see what's going on behind the electoral process. And speaking of the electoral process and the whole voting thing that's going on right now, um, I would say that my position on this, my personal position, is that I will be voting a vote of no confidence by not voting. I don't have any confidence in our electoral process. I think that it is far too mismanaged and confusing, and there's really no proof that when you cast a vote, that your voice is actually used to push forward democracy. Uh, in a functioning democracy, when individuals cast their ballot, that action is supposed to be the fuel that drives democracy. Democracy is supposed to benefit the citizens that believe in it and vote for it and support it and pay their taxes and whatever else they pay into it. But what's happening is that democracy has been overtaken by, it has been seized by corporations and techno fascists and biological fascists and military fascists and all that. And that's right here in America. I'm not talking about some other third world country. I'm talking about this third world country. I don't see the evidence of a functioning democracy in this country. I don't live in a community that shows that there's an evidence of functioning democracy. I live in a community of deep poverty that believes that a person will pass legislation that will benefit them. Fundamentally, moralistically, I personally don't think that you should be putting your energy into anybody. You know, not your president, not your grandma, not your mom, not your, municipality leaders, not your representatives, not your best friend, nobody, not your school teacher. Don't put your power and your energy into lifting up someone else. Lift up your own ideas, lift up sovereignty, lift up autonomy, lift up yourself. um, it sounds very selfish, but it's actually the purest form of democracy. This idea of a direct democracy where individuals push democracy to a place where people can actually benefit from that energy. So it's like, to me, it's like putting, when you vote for a candidate or when you vote for somebody that has a really bad record and has never really proven themselves, and I personally don't see the benefit of those people being in office. I've never seen any particular benefit of any particular president or political person in their position. I personally have never seen the benefit of that. Um, so when you put it's like putting sugar in a gas tank. It's going to fuck up your car. So you want to put gas in a gas tank so that your car can go forward and move to the place that it needs to be. um so to me, that's the electoral process. It's like putting sugar in a gas tank. Not only does it keep your car from moving to the place it needs to be, but it fucks up your car and it fucks up everything. And you don't get to where you need to be. Your car ends up getting fucked up. So the whole thing is just, it's a bad scene, right? So my position on this is that, there's a serious lack of democracy when your government and those you elect in office have been seized by corporations that exist to promote and push forward their own agendas, their own version of democracy. When they talk about equality and all this stuff, they don't talk about, you're not a part of that conversation. They're not talking about you being equal. They're talking about corporations and the government being on equal footing. And when the corporations and the governments are on equal footing, that's fascism. So that's what we're living in right now. Clearly, because when you lock down a healthy society, that's a fascistic move. That's not a democratic move. That's not a move that is based in democracy. So this is my look. Do what you need to do for yourself. Do what makes you happy. If going to the voting booth makes you happy and you believe that one candidate or the other is going to, work for your belief system, that's great. That's fine. Do what you need to do, but just keep in mind that it's that kind of attitude that's brought us to where we are right now. It's that kind of attitude that has placed a healthy society in a prison, and that we're facing some really, really draconian, treacherous outcomes of that so-called democracy that you keep putting your energy into. I would say put your energy into yourself. Put your energy into yourself. Make yourself happy. Instead of pouring sugar in your gasoline tank all the time and thinking that somehow it's going to make your car go, where you want it to. Maybe pour gasoline into your gas tank. I don't know. It's just a thought. To me, this seems pretty simple, but at the same time, I do have to respect on an existential level and on a moral level, I have to respect that each and every individual comes from their particular backgrounds. And if they have invested in and inherited a belief system that they simply cannot shake, which is that rich people with lots of money that happen to be in positions of power should be voted into office, then that's the decision they're going to make. Just keep in mind that there will be more and more sections of the population that will blame those people for the situation that we're in right now if we continue down this path. I'm not, I've always said, hey, look, go to the voting booth, like make it good, do whatever you need to do. Like, this is your belief system. I can't like sit here and tell people, oh, the thing that you grew up with and for generations you believed and it's like part of your, it's part of your DNA. I can't tell people to just suddenly change their DNA, change their belief system. That would be crazy. I would never do that. But my system of belief doesn't come from what, my family has done for generations or all that nonsense. My systems that I follow have to do with my day-to-day decisions in life. I make decisions in life every day that protect, you know, the people that I love and the situation that I'm in. And I like to put energy and focus and time and even invest what scrap of money I have, invest it back into protecting myself. So we've had to make some serious sacrifices when we're looking at the long game, when we're looking at this from a longer viewpoint. I hope that makes sense to people. I have a feeling that there are more people in the United States that believe and exist and sort of navigate around the world and in their uh, little societies and in their areas that believe the same way I do. It's just that they're not very vocal about it. They just kind of, politely say, "Oh, that's nice. You're voting. Okay, that's good." And then they go about their business, and do their thing that helps them, keep a roof over their head and helps them survive, more and more of this fascism. I have a feeling there are a lot of people out there that are like me. Um, so I feel confident that what I'm saying is going to resonate with people in general. I think that, obviously you can go to our YouTube page and you can take a look at some of the videos we've done. It's all stuff that is going on behind the scenes. There's There's a lot of theater that's happening to distract the American population from what is happening behind the scenes. I mean, we've got interstate compacts, which are comprised of stakeholders and unelected committee members that are driving the wedge between the rich and the poor, which are creating class divide. The wealthy are waging war on the middle and lower classes, as they always do. And this is another tool by which they're doing that through these interstate compacts. It's difficult for me to say, okay, yeah, go ahead and vote for your candidate when I already know that every government has been occupied and seized by corporations, and those corporations are driving your so-called democracy, and they're driving legislation which is killing our economy and killing people. So it's really difficult for me to say, oh, sure, it's not class war. Of course it's class war. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's always been class war. It's always, the very wealthy waging war on the middle class. Some people just don't want to see it that way. That's their deal, though. So I would say that the best things that you can do is start to investigate yourself. I mean, I just threw out a term that everybody should be like, going to their browser and typing it in, interstate compacts, or you can go to deconstruction, which is the latest video we did, which talks about the the breaking apart of the United States. I mean, there is a period of deconstruction happening right now, so that when we do come out of it and we do emerge, the United States will no longer be recognized or recognizable by you. Your idea of freedom will be a different. Freedom will no longer be the definition that you grew up with or that you think it is. Freedom will be attached to all sorts of conditions and sacrifices that you will have to make for yourself and your family. To me, that is more reasonable than to think that a very rich person, no matter which of them are you're deciding to vote for, will suddenly keep the freedom that you think that you currently have. My belief is that in mid-March, they pulled the veil off. They lifted the veil and said, um, yeah, you were never really free. You never really had sovereignty or autonomy. And now we're just going to stop pretending, you know? Goal is population control, population reduction. These are goals. So when you read a terrible story about more suicides, or you read a terrible story about, the fact that we're in the throes of another Great Depression. We're living in it right now. Evictions, the unhoused, the number of unhoused is rising. And all these things, you say to yourself, oh my God, that's horrible. And you have a legitimate human response because it's awful. But I look at it from the perspective of, the so-called evildoers. To them, these are goals. These are just their goals. They're looking at spreadsheets. They're looking at corporate reports. They're looking at budgets. They're balancing budgets. This is how they're balancing their budget. You know, I think you should go back and watch the movie The Big Short. The Big Short is basically a system of corruption and fraud that caused a few people to make a lot of money while the entire globe was thrown into the next level poverty and next level misery. Well, that's where we are again. The entire world is being shorted. When the 2008 crash took place, it was that they shorted the housing industry. They shorted mortgages, and they were selling junk mortgages and junk bonds and subprime mortgages and all this terminology, CDOs, which is basically garbage. Okay. They were selling garbage, and people were pulling in garbage. Think of it this way, you know, telling you that you're buying, a lobster dinner, but what they're really feeding you is a shit sandwich. But you're so enamored and you're so believing their big fancy words and their fancy offices and their nice clothes that you cannot see the truth. You're chomping down on a shit sandwich while they're busy telling you it's a lobster dinner. That's basically what The Big Short was about. Um, just, if I had to do a movie review, I'd be like, okay, well, a bunch of people thought that they were eating lobster dinners when really they were eating shit sandwiches. The end. So that's where we are again. Where we are again is that we are being told one thing. We're being told that it's, a virus or a pandemic or the plague or a disease that's killing everybody. And the best thing that we could do is murder ourselves and murder our economy in order to fight this thing. Well, that's a shit sandwich. You're being sold another shit sandwich in order to short the system so that you'll fall off the system in one way or another and they can get rich off of that. There you go. It's just the same playbook. It's the same playbook over and over and over again. Some people get really mad that there are those who don't play that game. When someone feeds me a shit sandwich, I say, actually, no, that's a shit sandwich. You eat it first. Go ahead, you eat it. You take a big, juicy bite out of this shit sandwich and tell me how yummy it is and how it's benefiting the community or it's benefiting the common good. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. And so I go basically, I say, you know what, it's kind of smelly in here with all your shit sandwiches piling up. I have to stand over there now and go make something of myself and go try to fix this system that you keep crashing and that you keep shorting. I have to find out another way to reinvent myself and make it so that I can survive through this thing that you are doing yet again. I'm not blaming poor people. I'm not even blaming the middle class. I'm blaming the billionaires that are telling the millionaires to do this to us. Those are the people that I'm looking at. Those are the people. I'm always punching up. Always punching up. So while you're busy voting those people into office who are feeding you the shit sandwich, I'm over here avoiding the entire game. I'm avoiding it. I have not seen benefits of shit sandwiches for at all ever. I've never seen the benefit of it ever. So, if you want to believe that there's benefit in voting and engaging in this really shitty process, then that's your decision. Then that's a system that um, you were born into. It's a belief system that your family has. You really, or maybe you think that it's some kind of chess game and that you're moving the goalpost a little bit closer to, what could benefit the common man, the real common man, the poor and the middle class that are disintegrating right before our eyes. Maybe you think that it's, if you do it just this one time, then the next generation will benefit from this and on it goes. But how many generations do we have to kill? And do we have to purge? And do we have to throw into debt and into servitude and into human capital, which is another term for slavery? How many generations do we have to do that before we finally go, yeah, maybe this isn't really working? Maybe this isn't really the answer. So that's my takeaway from this whole electoral garbage crap. I mean, every time I turn around, it's just, oh man, it's oppressive. I really don't like it. Which is why my social media presence lately I've pulled way back. Plus we're harvesting. We're still waiting for that 2-week flatten the curve thing. Here we are, October 31st, and it's freezing cold, so we're pulling up, our annuals that are not doing so well in the frost that we experienced last night. So that's what we're doing. Um, but we still have some really great tomatoes on the vine, um, and peppers that are getting more full bodied, and so that's good. But yeah, we have some harvesting to do. It takes work. I think that in general, it feels like Americans are afraid of hard work. They don't understand the concept of planting. They don't have a relationship with the earth the way we do. At least JP, my husband, has a better relationship with the earth than I do. He's got, like, I always joke, he has like 12 green thumbs. He can make anything grow in any way because he researches and reads and watches videos from farmers and planters and those who literally live out of their, out of their gardens. Then he practices what he learns. He puts it to actual use, and he works a lot at it. I mean, hours and hours a week at it. And there's we've seen the benefits of that, and there's been some successes and some failures, but that's part of life, is that you practice, and then some things you fail at and some things you succeed at. So, and I feel like Americans aren't really, like, these basic human um connections with the earth are things that have been programmed out of us over the last, like, probably 40 years, where technology and this sort of sense of immediate gratification has taken over the patient relationship that you must have with, like, dirt and the earth in order to see the benefits of what you plant. You can't just throw some seeds on the ground and then walk away. You have to nurture it. You have to water. You have to make sure that, things are planted in the right way. There's a whole system, and those people who understand those systems and those people who have, like, an actual relationship with the earth tend to be more existential thinkers. They tend to think a little bit more carefully about their next step in life. They also know when they're being lied to, you know? They're just more aware, and more in tune to things, I think. And so, in my opinion, where there's a whole community of people, a whole big giant section of the population, probably throughout the globe, that that part of their brain is kind of atrophied or dead, and so they just kind of go along, and it really does make sense as to why people, believe that we are in the throes of the plague and all this when there's no evidence of it, because they've lost that capacity to see, um, what comes out of a relationship with the earth. When you plant something and then you tend to it and you take care of it and you nurture it, you see the evidence of your hard work through growth. You see the little green sprouts starting to come through, and then you see the vines, or you see the plant grow taller and taller. Then you see the flowers bloom, or you see the vegetables start to come up. You see evidence of your hard work. But because nobody has those kind of skills anymore, or they've allowed that part of their brain to atrophy, they'll just believe anything. They'll just, little kids these days think that vegetables come from the grocery store. They don't know that they come from the earth. So, you know what I'm saying? So they just believe whatever they're told from their family, from podcasters, from the news, from whatever, you know? And I just don't. I believe what I believe and what I see. And I've never met anyone and never seen anyone who has COVID-19. I don't see bodies in the street. I don't see people ringing the bell, wheelbarrow barrows full of dead bodies, and people ringing the bell saying, "Bring out your dead." Nothing like that. I like we're told that is happening. I don't see that. I see empty hospitals. I see corporations taking over. I see corporations taking over the government. I see corporations taking over small economies in small communities. I don't see any evidence of there being a functioning democracy or the plague. I just don't see it. So, and because of the fact that when I work at something, I do see the benefit of working at something, whether it's working on a storyline, if I'm writing a blog post, or if it's working on a video and I'm putting the pieces together for a video essay I do, then I see the evidence of the completion of that message. Or if it's putting seeds in the ground and tending to those seeds and watching the growth, I see the evidence of it, you know? So I don't see the evidence of this thing because there's nothing there. You can't create something out of nothing. That's the way my brain works. A lot of people are like, well, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's not how my brain works. I don't think that people who are healthy and feeling good are are secretly harboring a disease that could kill people. I just don't believe it. I didn't believe it during the last crisis that Fauci was involved in, and I don't believe it in this one either. So, and I'm allowed to have that belief. I'm allowed to have it. And you're allowed to have yours too. But unfortunately, your belief system is actually going to drag the entire global economy down, and it's going to destroy whatever last remnants of sovereignty and autonomy that we do have. My belief system doesn't do that. My belief system actually lifts people up and makes people more intelligent and gives people more sovereignty and makes people think more. So, moralistically, my belief system is better than yours. So, these are the kind of thoughts that people should be having during um, the election crisis, because I feel that the electoral process and like the voting season, which happens every 4 years, I think it's just as bad as a fake plague. I consider the COVID-19 marketing campaign and the electoral process one and the same. Well, they're two different issues that we're battling, but it's just a it's just another thing to fuck people over. It's just another thing to continue your cycle of your own oppression and to invest into your own oppression. That's how I feel about the electoral system. I don't feel that it's, an opportunity to engage in democracy and let your voice be heard through your vote. I don't believe that. I believe it's just the opposite. I believe that when you march to the voting booth and you put your little, you fill in the little circle or you punch the button that says who you're voting for, I feel that you are inching yourself closer and closer to your own oppression. That's what I believe. I truly believe it because I've seen evidence of it. I've seen evidence of that. That's why I believe it, because I've seen the evidence of it. You see what I mean? It's like when I plant a seed in the dirt and a few months later I get something that comes out of it. I see the evidence of that. When you tend to something, you tend to see the evidence of it and you keep tending to your own oppression. You keep tending to your own incarceration. You keep investing in and putting energy towards something that is going to hurt you. And so what happened? Look where we all are. We are all being hurt. We are all being destroyed. We are all being splintered. The world is being broken apart. Things that are necessary for our survival are being taken away from us because you keep investing in the bad guys. You keep investing in the broken system. If you invest in it, it's going to keep giving you that return. It's like, again, you're being fed a shit sandwich and being told that it's lobster dinner. So you're eating a shit sandwich. What happens to your body if you eat poop or garbage? You get sick. You get really sick. You come up with all sorts of diseases. Your hair falls out. You get cold sores. You get stomach aches. Your body falls apart because you're eating someone else's or something else's excrement. That's how I feel about the electoral process, is that you are investing in a shit sandwich. Enjoy it, because I'm not going to have any part of it. I'm not. I'm going to go over there far, far away from that mess and try to survive in a different way. So this is very dangerous, I think, where we're headed. This atrophied part of our brain that has laid dormant for 40 plus years, where people don't understand how having a relationship with the earth and being able to garden and tend to gardens and being able to listen to what the earth is telling you can open up it can open up your brain and make the part that's atrophied, it can actually make it grow again and become fertile soil for new ideas and new concepts. The electoral system is meant to atrophy your brain. That's what it's meant to do. And an atrophied brain, which is a brain that is basically like stone, like there's no blood flow, there's nothing there that can really um, work. That causes people to self-incarcerate, that causes people to self-mutilate, that causes people, and the whole mask thing is a form of self-mutilation. It's what it is. It's a form of self-mutilation. So although the title of this podcast, this audio podcast, was, you know, go ahead and vote. It does matter. It doesn't matter. It does matter. It doesn't matter. Well, it actually does matter. It does matter in the sense that if you want to die, and if you want people who have goals of killing you to reach those goals, then go ahead and continue to invest in the shit sandwich that's going to kill you. You keep investing into it, you're going to see a return on your investment. It's that simple. Um, so, but I understand also, I'm not completely without understanding. And I do read the room. We are living in a country that has based its entire system on, making people believe that the voting process is a way to exercise your power. No, that's of course a false belief system that has been inherited in our DNA for generations since the founding of this country. So that's a hard thing to break out of people. But more and more people are breaking out of it, it seems. And I have a feeling that if you are, in a certain age bracket and you are voting and you are saying, wait a minute, so I've been voting like a dutiful American citizen every 4 years since I was allowed to start voting. So maybe I've been doing it for 20 or 30 years. And look where you are. Look where you are. You have to self mutilate, you have to isolate, you have no small businesses. You have no functioning medical system. It's been completely corrupted from the ground up. Each and every day, the rules and the laws change while the measures to control you become stronger and stronger. So, so that voting, how's that working out for you?